I mean, people say all the time, like, oh, I'm not a scientist, but you are. We're all scientists. We all navigate the world in a way that, you know, we don't run into walls. We don't, if you're not constantly running into walls, then you're a scientist, right? You're using evidentiary perception and cognition to navigate the universe. If you can walk down a flight of stairs, you're a scientist. If you can order a sandwich and predict that you're going to get it, you're a scientist, right? I mean, those are all essentially we're making predictions every single moment of every single day to do the most basic shit. Well, those predictions are based on evidence, based on cognition, based on, observation.
Observation, yeah.
And we're making those predictions, and then a good portion of the time we're right about those basic predictions. It's when things start to get more complex, like predicting what a market's going to do, or predicting,
right,
what your teenagers are going to do, and as things get more complex, it's harder to make those predictions. But we're all scientists.
Yeah, but I also think people can see that. In those examples, they can say, "Oh, I'm observing things when I make a prediction about there's going to be a wall in front of me, and I don't want to walk into it."
Exactly.
I don't think people make that connection to how they're thinking about things.
Right.
Right. Like, I think I'm right. You think you're right. Well, we both feel like we've taken in evidence.
Yes.
We both feel like we know.
Well, you don't feel that because it's not a feeling.
Sorry.
We think we're taking in evidence.
We think we have the evidence that we're right.
Yes.
At that moment.
At that moment, yeah.
So how do you deal with that? I mean, how do you reconcile that? I mean, everybody walks around and feels.
Well, the first thing I would say is you're definitely wrong. All the time.
No, you're definitely
wrong. No, I mean, we all are most certainly wrong all the time about everything. And what I mean by that is our mental models are capturing a snippet of reality. If we think about that fraction of mental model over reality, M over R, the numerator is much smaller than the denominator, like infinitesimally smaller.
Yes.
So by definition, what that means is that you are definitely wrong. Even when your predictions turn out to be true, you're not seeing the whole thing. So I think it's a safer bet to assume that there's a lot more that you don't know and aren't getting right than what you do know and are getting right. The decay, the don't know, is much larger than the know.
Right, but how does that impact when you have to make decisions? Like being willing to make decisions based on knowing you only know a certain percentage of what could be known about a situation. You're basing a decision on the percent that you know.
Yeah, I think you want to be really, really specific about what you know and what you know, right? And what versus what you think you know. Versus what you don't know. But you can make a decision if you are really sure of certain things because you have evidence or you have observational some kind of fact.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to know everything to make a decision and have that probability of that decision working out well go in your favor. You just have to know, maybe one or two things. But you got to be clear about what you know and don't know. And so to that person that you were talking about, I would want them to sort of ask themselves a couple questions. One is, how do you know that you're right and they're all wrong?
Right.
What's the probability of you being right and they all being wrong? Mm-hmm. That has a lot to do with history, right? What's to what extent are you often right? Mm-hmm. Verifiably right, not just in your opinion right.
Yeah.
Verifiably right, and everyone else is verifiably wrong. Like, to what extent does that establish a pattern? Mm-hmm. And I think the answer to most of those things is going to be, that doesn't happen often. You're not verifiably right and everybody else is verifiably wrong.
Yeah.
Unless you really have a tremendous amount of confirmation bias.